It was a late night on a typical Tuesday evening. I was surfing the internet as I had two large coffees from my local coffee shop earlier that day, and was unable to sleep after watching pointless YouTube video after YouTube video. I came across a strange title in the related videos bar. None of the characters were of the English language. However, the shapes of the characteristics seemed to resemble words, although I couldn't quite decipher them. Curiously, I clicked on the video. I suddenly began to hear various creaks and groans coming from my house. So I whirled around and grabbed a nearby baseball bat, ready for a fatal battle. To my surprise, there was no intruders in the house, nor any signs of a forced entry. All the doors were also locked. Figuring I was just going crazy, I shrugged my shoulders and lazily walked back to my room. I had spent a lot of money on a high-tech bandwidth connection, so I was perplexed that the video I had clicked on had not loaded yet. I impatiently clicked on the video 4 more times in an attempt to bring it up, but after what seemed like an eternity of waiting, the page finally loaded. The background was black and it completely hid all of the text, except for the username of the uploader and the description, both in crimson red. The username of the uploader was Nightmare Slumber, and the description read as such: "How ignorant of you. You are unaware of my demonic presence in your life. I will destroy everything you stand for. Worthless coward. I am always watching you. And soon you will come to live with me forever." Figuring this was just simply the idiocy of a 12-year-old, I did not heed the danger I was in. The video began with a picture of an abandoned mental asylum. The picture was long and dark and tattered corridor, extending past the viewer's visual field. On the left of the wall of the corridor had windows separated by columns, and the corridor was bathed in an eerie moonlight, only broken by the shadows of the columns. The darkness of the corridor was pure black, the likes of which I'd never seen. I got the vibe that the asylum was hastily abandoned and never cleaned up. For the first minute of the video, I was simply still in the frame of the corridor. There was no sound nor movement. At approximately 1:13 of the video, I noticed a slow but definite movement at the very end of the corridor. It had a human stance, but walked very unusually, most noticeably with its head pointed straight at the ground. The creature accelerated steadily, but walked very unusually. The creature accelerated steadily as the video progressed, eventually breaking into a full run. The creature ran headfirst into the camera, knocking it over. Simultaneously, I've heard a really loud bang at the door. There was only one. And it sounded like someone had just ran into the door. I jumped up and grabbed my bat again. When I heard my computer made an error sound. I heard my computer make an error sound. And I jumped. The computer then blue screened at that point, saying that it will shut down for safety reasons. The screen then proceeded to make a note of, in fact, that the unknown hacker had been obtaining information about my whereabouts. My antivirus program ran a trace of the hacker's IP address and came back with a city in northern Wales. Specifically, the hack had been made from an abandoned mental asylum. Then all the power went out. At this point, I became extremely intimidated. My eyes welled up with water as my breathing accelerated. I began to hear someone groaning in pain outside my door. I knew it was a mistake to go look, but I decided to anyways. When I glanced through the peephole, there was no one outside the door. I could still hear the groaning, though. No way in hell I was opening that door. I flew into a panic attack and immediately attempted to contact the police. However, I simply got a busy tone on both the landline and my cell phone. I ran back to my computer to see if I could hook it up to a generator and ask for help. Help that way. When I noticed that my computer screen was still on, in giant red text upon a black screen, it read, "Go to sleep." A piercing scream rang out. It sounded like someone was dying. I raced to the kitchen and drew 2 knives out of the drawer. This was real. This was actually happening. The screams got louder and more desperate. Under the screams, I began to hear faint but distinct hysterical laughter. I ran about my house trying to figure out what was going on. I then heard a sobbing coming from a closet near my computer room. My skin ran cold as I grasped the doorknob. It was cold to the touch. I should have said something before opening the door, but I didn't have the common sense to do so. I whipped the door open to see a young girl, dead and bloody, crumpled in a heap in my closet. Her stomach has been ripped open, her entrails pulled out. She was entirely naked and coated completely in blood. The wall suddenly was illuminated with a red light. Something I noticed was written in the blood on the walls. "You should have heeded my warning. Time to go to sleep." I whirled around and saw the figure in the video. Head down and everything. I froze in fear. With one sudden movement, almost as if I was watching a video that skipped a few frames, the figure twisted its head and looked up at me. And everything went black. Detective's notes. The victim's body was found in a similar state of that of the young girl in the closet. Despite numerous blood tests, we couldn't identify the girl. In fact, due to the lack of a missing persons report, and the fact that no one came forward to claim her remains or tried to solve the case of the murder, and because no blood test matched up anyone we tested, it seemed like the girl never really existed. We have confirmed that the hacking came from an abandoned mental hospital. However, there was no explanation as to how this was timed so closely together. We issued an arrest warrant, but with no officer wants to enter the ruins in fear of his or her life. The only break we got was a witness sighting of an extremely unusual and frightening creature running into the hospital a few days later. From the witness testimony, we noticed a shocking similarity between the face of the deranged mental hospital inhabitant and the following image taken from a site filled with horror stories with the words "Go to sleep" captioned above it. Numerous murders like this has occurred since. Every single one of the victims have been noted, which the video was a few minutes before the homicide was committed. YouTube officials have tried to remove the video. However, every monitor that tries ends up getting brutally murdered. This case is still unsolved. Detective's Note 2. After researching the case, a few discoveries have been made. First, while I've been unable to find the source of the video, last-minute accounts of the killer's victims have been proven enough despite the evidence to point out the image as used as the background for the video. Although this is a JPEG image and thus by nature is a still image, rumor has it if you stare at the picture too long, the image begins to twist and contort. Continue staring and you could see a creature begin to run towards the camera. No one has watched the image long enough to see the creature come close, but eventually get visual evidence. Visual evidence is there to assume that this is the same person seen in the video. The image can be found below. Yeah, view at your own risk, of course. Your life may be at stake. In addition, I have been searching for more images or information regarding the killer. To my horror, I found a set of stories online regarding one Jeff the Killer. The stories dictate a serial killer who develops his psychopathic tendencies at that one set of his teenage years, eventually killing everyone in his immediate family. Most of the shocking aspects of the story that Jeff has killed his victims in the same brutal way as seen in the Dimby Asylum Killer. Everyone, even going to that extent, both killers communicating "go to sleep" before murdering their victims. The most frightening aspect, however, was that the image provided for Jeff the Killer is just the same image provided by the witness for Let me look. The Dimbeg Asylum Killer, leading investigations to believe that they are, in fact, the same person. For further reading, simply search Jeff the Killer online, and read at your own risk, of course. The most terrifying fact of all, through the lies in my own personal experience, after writing this report, I heard such strange reports throughout my home, figuring that it was nothing. I continued doing research on Jeff. The banging noises got louder and louder. I searched my outsides, thinking maybe a bird was injured. As I stepped out my door, however, I noticed movement in the window. I immediately attempted to call the police, but got a busy signal. Concerned, I put the phone down and looked toward the house. Looked towards the house, only to see Jeff staring directly at me with these cold, dead eyes and that horrific, disfigured face. His smile was the most eerie thing I've ever seen. I immediately pulled out my gun and began shooting. Jeff took off into the night. I know I'm in danger, so I've set up continuous surveillance around my home to protect myself. I still see bright flashes of light and hearing banging noises around my home, along with a rare but still horrifying laughter, of which is only a true psychopathic serial killer can provide. I don't know how much longer it will be until we catch him, but if he keeps making these mistakes, then we'll have a solid identity and an airtight case. I feel we're on the brink of taking him in. For I keep hearing laughter and banging sounds that are escalating in volume. And also I'm seeing an odd orb of light in the distance. I have radioed fellow police to the scene, but the radio's gone dead. The light is getting closer, and I have my gun ready. It's him. It's him. I can see his face. Time to... Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff. I don't like that this story is being published, but oh well. It's not like any of you could catch a demon of my caliber. The detective is now dead. The journal is over. And it's quite hilarious. You are Kelly Rogers. I think I'm coming for you next. But because in viewing this document, I've logged every single one of your IP address and know exactly where you are. You aren't safe. I think it's time for you to go to sleep. I'll be there shortly. Sincerely, Jeffrey the Killer. Oh. P.S. You there. You're kinda cute. I'll take my time.